basically start using the cloud services, what are the tools and the services that are included in this package, in the OCRE framework, and for sure, as Felix already mentioned, what are the benefits that can be achieved by adhering somehow to this OCRE framework. I'll go straight to the objectives for those that who are not yet familiar with the objectives of the tender. It's important to know that the goal was to accelerate the cloud adoption in the European research communities and also in the higher education. It can help achieve more and lead cutting-edge research programs and really drive the innovation and digitalization as we all need. Avoid bureaucracy barriers, but not in a bad way. I would say that we are pretty aligned with all the legislation and local and compliant regulations, which is great because that framework agreement has exactly this purpose in order to set up a secure and compliance environment for that research organizations that would like to adhere and to adopt the cloud technologies. And for sure, it's our goal as a supplier to support the state-of-the-art research using the latest Google Cloud technologies. Some of the key entities that are part in this framework, for sure OCRE, for sure GEANT, the Google Cloud as an IOP, as well as Revolgy as a premier partner and the official supplier and provider for ENET, AMRES, and Chestnut. ENET from Estonia, AMRES from Serbia, and Chestnut for Czech Republic. What basically Google Cloud brings on the table? A lot of services and packages that can be used in order to, again, drive the innovation towards the higher education, but also in the research institutions. When it comes to higher education, the most suitable platform that we have seen is the Google Workspace, that for sure allows the students and teachers to communicate better, and also the project teams to have a proper real-time collaboration, because it can provide access to email, calendars, sharing different kind of documents that they need in their researches, and also use this in a video conference model as we are doing today using Google Meet. Definitely, the framework allows to adopt all the GCP services. I mean, the easy of use from the compute engine instances, the big queries for the databases, and we are here to support and to make this process as fast as possible and as understandable as possible for all the key technical people from the organizations that would like to move forward with GCP. There are many services. I'm not going to insist of all of them. These are some highlights on what you can get in order to run your projects on GCP. This is a variety of compute engine instances, basically VM machines that the institutions might use for different purposes, from the general ones up to more, let's say, compute optimized VMs or VMs that are a bit more focused on, let's say, saving some money, like the preemptible VMs. One of the key value proposition of Google is the fact that it has the best-in-class security, because Google owns like 35% out of the entire internet network all around the globe. So it's basically secured by the design, and it ensures all the necessary data protection. Standards. This is very important for all the countries, not necessarily in particular for Estonia, Serbia, and Czech Republic, but all our, let's say, also commercial customers. They need to comply with some certain regulations. We all know about GDPR, we all know about PSI, DSS, but there are definitely many other regulations and compliance that Google is aligned with all across the globe, and we as partners have access to the compliance center, and we can support each country or each organization in particular in order to get access to those certifications. ML, AI and ML, this is very important. It's like a buzzword that we are hearing all day. It's important to have like a strong foundation and a solid foundation, and that's the foundation that is done by our engineers before making sure that you can apply all the AI and ML capabilities on top of the services. And Google has a lot of services, from the Vision AI that can help you detect different kind of anomalies in different kind of images, up to the speech-to-text or dialogue flow that can help you with the natural language processing flow. Here is the entire cloud AI offering. As I mentioned previously, there are solutions like the cloud speech to text or the dialog flow that can be used for these NLP flows. But for sure, there are many other services that can be easily included in some kind of prediction models that the researchers would like to implement in their institutions. Storage, multiple type of databases from the relational, non-relational ones. The majority of them are managed services, which is good because you don't need to basically manage those databases when you'd like to scale your products or to provide access to multiple people. This is something that Google does on its own. Also, when it comes to upgrading, patching, and this all this kind of stuff that can make the user experience even greater and better. Now, why to use Google Cloud via OCRE? It's important because we work together with the GEANT team in order to create this streamlined procurement process. We already agreed on some particular legal aspects in order to be compliant with the EU legislation and some particular legislation from different countries. But not only on this part, we also worked a lot on the pricing, and I'm pretty sure that Felix will go into deeper details further during this webinar. Google committed via its partners in order to help all the research institutions in order to get access to additional discounts versus all their commercial customers. And we also, as partners, committed to Google and to the community in order to provide highly discounted mandate rates in order to support their migration. But also there are some other programs in place that can help with the easy migration and adoption of the cloud without, let's say, having any kind of financial friction at the very beginning of the cooperation. And our main role here is to help you adopt, set, and maintain further your cloud environment. Because once you are there, we will need to make sure that you get all the necessary skills in order to run your environment and to do this in an autonomously way further during the process. How to basically start the journey with Google Cloud. I will say that the first part, which is the most important one, has been already done together with your support. We adhere to the framework agreement, and we are now an official reseller for Estonia, Serbia, and Czech Republic, not only for the commercial customers, but also for these particular institutions via the OCRE tender. And now we can definitely focus on the projects, on the initiatives. So the next obvious step will be to pre-assess the details of the projects of these institutions and to work together with them in order to define all their requirements in what is called the call of agreements. These call of agreements are some annexes where we can basically embed all the requirements from the customers, their key performance indicators, the KPIs, basically the SLAs, and so on. And together with their requirements and with our guidance, we will prepare the final proposal for them technical wise, and also the TCOs, the total cost of ownership, which is very important for these institutions because they need to have a forecast for the next months or years. And then we can immediately kick off the project. No bureaucracy, everything is already there, and we already have experience in doing these kind of processes and driving them because we are already starting some POCs as part of this project. Here are some of the customer success stories that have been built with Google Cloud. We've chosen a solution for the Google Workspace for the Geneva Business School, and another one using GCP for the Broad Institute. We all know that, for example, for the genomic computation, there is a lot of compute engine needed. So basically, with the compute engine, the optimized version of that, you can immediately and very easy increase the computing speed in analyzing the genomes, for example. And for the last of the presentation, it's important to know how you can reach us. I'm driving this initiative from the Revolgy side together with Felix, for sure, with the Google sales representatives that are taking care of all the countries included in the OCRE tender, but also together with the Bohuslav Donald, which is basically the founder of the company, who is mainly in charge of the relationship with Chestnut. We also have a local presence in Serbia. So my colleague Vladimir, that is not present today here, will take care of the relationship with Amres. And Christian, my colleague that is based in Tallinn in Estonia, will basically maintain the relationship with ENET and Harno. And the Q&A session.
Thank you, Vlad. We'll open the session now for Q&A from the audience. And then we'll get on to the presentation of the Google Cloud programs.
Okay.
Let's see in the chat. So maybe I'll start with one question. Vlad, can you tell us about your history working and engaging with those countries that you cover? How long have you been operating in these regions, and what's your expertise in there?
Sure. Revolgy is present on the market, and it's partner of Google for more than 10 years. Officially, we are operating on the IT market for 21 years. For sure, we started with a different activity. It was mainly related to networking at that point in time, but for 10 years, we are partners with Google. We started slowly with G Suite or the Google Workspace nowadays. I mean, the collaboration and productivity tools. But when it comes to cloud, we started the journey together with Google like six years ago. The company is originally from Czech Republic, so there is a very good relationship with the Czech commercial, but also higher education institutions. We opened the office in Tallinn like 3 years ago, and our chief of sales, together with my colleague Christian, are based there. And Vladimir, my colleague from Serbia, has joined the company like 2 years ago in order to support us with the expand of our operations in the Southeast Europe.
Thank you. And just to follow up on that, how do you support your customers in those regions? If they were to sign up and start a project on GCP, how do you support them?
We are working closely with Google, and the main asset here is the fact that we have an infrastructure specialization. We are ISO 27001 certified. We also have work transformation. So all the certifications that are needed for such projects, infrastructure projects, are already in-house. We have our bunch of certified engineers. We are working with mainly 3 teams. The first one is the pre-assessment team, which is part of the pre-sales process, where we are discovering basically the current infrastructure of the customer, their challenges. We get familiar with their product and the goal of their project, and we also establish the KPIs together. Soon after, we define the requirements of the project. We are bringing in our delivery team that is taking care of architecting the new solution on GCP, building the new environment on GCP, and helping the customer migrate to GCP if we are discussing about a migration from on-prem to GCP or from another cloud provider to GCP, or basically just start directly on GCP as the majority of the digital native companies are doing today. And after that, we also developed our managed services, portfolio, incident management and operations management, and we are capable to ensure 24/7 support services for our customers with specific SLAs in place. And this is also valid for Google Workspace, not only for the infrastructure as a service part of the business.
Awesome. Thank you, Vlad. Gary, you have a question?
Gary, you are muted.
Someone has to do it. Thanks, Vlad. Just a quick sort of question regarding data centers, data storage. Something that's sort of creeping through the community is the implications of Schrems 2, and sort of I think there's the fear is quite the right word, but there is some worries about data going over to America, and I I think people are quite keen that data remains, well, their data remains in Europe. Have you and Google been doing anything to ensure that you can sort of convince the European community that that their data is safe?
So Felix, do you want to split to split this question? I mean, I can maybe start, right? Because let's say we have a lot of commercial customers, mainly from the financial industries, and we need, during all our projects we are facing, basically we need to answer to this question, and we need to ensure our customers that their data is stored in a particular region. And it's good to mention that Google has a lot of regions and availability zones. We can see these availability zones as being like physical data centers in Europe. Probably the most used ones nowadays are the one from Frankfurt, Belgium. Zurich is also very important. It's a particular region because Zurich has a different legislation. So I would say, yes, the customer has the possibility to select the data center, the region where they would like to store the data. And I'll definitely leave Felix to provide more details around this.
Okay, yeah, that's good. I think that's something that may come up in the coming months, year, that I think you need to be prepared for. Yeah.
So thanks, Gary. That's a very important point. So I did share on the chat a link to a white paper we produced related to GDPR protection and Schrems 2 ruling. So it's just to reassure our customer that there's a set of baked in technical safeguards, legal safeguards, and organizational safeguards in the way we process data that make us compliant. So it's very important to us, obviously. And one thing that people tend to confuse is that Google Cloud is a separate company to Google. Right? So we operate with different sets of privacy and data rules. So this is very important to understand. One company makes a business of working with the data they collect. It's not our case at Google Cloud. So feel free to ask us and ask Vlad and the Revolgy team anytime you have a question. So there's plenty of white papers we've produced, and we have a team dedicated to help you also support those questions and more detailed answers if you need.
And also, just to continue with the idea, there are so many mechanisms in Google Cloud that can be set and put in place in order to respect all the identity and access management roles. Because in the end, this is all about how do you ensure the security of the data, not only the fact that it's stored in a particular region. And that's mainly part of our chief security officer that is supervising this from the very beginning, and it's part of the delivery team in the discovery sessions that we are having with the customers. I mean, how is your setup looking today? And first of all, are you already respecting all the security policies? Probably yes. In the most cases, no. So we need to take all the measures in order to make sure that once they migrate to cloud, those policies will really be in place.
Great, thanks a lot.
Thank you, Vlad. Let me take over now and present our education and research programs. Just to set the scene, because we do have a sets of programs to support teaching, learning, and research at Google Cloud. But I think it's important first to start by setting the stage and understanding why we came up with these programs and what are the goals. So maybe something that is not new for you, but a lot of people in the world actually don't realize the massive shift and transformation that is happening in the world today, with the acceleration of the pace of innovation and the technology, mobile streaming application booming, everything being powered by cloud computing. And as a direct result of that, a huge demand for skills around cloud computing, teaching and learning. So cloud computing has been the #1 skill on LinkedIn for several years. And there's a lot of unmet demand for cloud skilled employees. So that's a fact. So there's really a lot of open positions. The other interesting point and why we launch our programs is that a lot of those demands, really align very well with how at Google we operate and our specialties, right? There's a lot of demand for data analysts, for AI and ML specialists. And it turns out we believe we are leading the pack when it comes to those technologies. So that's a huge market potential, and there's a lot of untapped demand. And the problem we have is that, unfortunately, institutions, researchers are not cloud ready. They've not been taught about cloud computing, they've not been learning, they've not been teaching, and they've not been leveraging the power of cloud computing for their research. So that's in a nutshell the premises of why we launch our programs. And what we offer today is really those three things. So a set of credits or grants that targets faculty, students, and researchers, trainings and curriculums for students, and then a community that binds them all together. First, for researchers, we offer research credits. It's a program that has been live for a few years. This year, we revamped it a little bit, and we have now up to $5,000 in credits available for researchers who want to launch a program in GCP. The goal with these credits is not to run an entire research workload. It's really to understand the value of leveraging the cloud for your research, right? So these tend to be projects that are funded for under 12 months, small research projects. And the goal is really to make the proof of the fact that GCP and cloud in general works for research and helps accelerate research. It's very easy to request them. It's a simple link to apply. Please feel free to reach out to your team at Revolgy to help you access those credits and also help you, maybe understand how to make the request and how to make the most of them. This is a link to apply for those credits. The second sets of credits we give are for faculty and students. So for faculty, we give $100 of credits, and for students, $50 of credits. Those are Google Cloud credits that don't require a credit card to access, so that's very important. They do have to be requested through your faculty, so you can't have like single students making requests on their own. The goal is for us to be able to grant those credits to faculty that are going to use them as part of their course or curriculum to teach an experiment on Google Cloud. And as I said, no credit card required, $50 per student, and we can increase that amount as well. The eligibility for those benefits, by the way, you have to be faculty or students or researchers and part of the OCRE community. And in terms of country availability, so it's 35 countries. For the countries covered by Revolgy, right now only Serbia is not covered, but we are going to put it on the list. So those credits are available for Czech Republic and Estonia, not yet in Serbia. And finally, it's not only about giving you access to credits to use on Google Cloud, it's also about teaching you how to use them. So we have entire curriculum available for free for institutions to teach their students and learners about cloud computing. The first track, Associate Cloud Engineer, this course is about 40 hours of content that is maintained directly by Google and offered to faculty to prepare the students to pass the Associate Cloud Engineer exam. So one of the most in-demand IT certification in the world today. And the second track is all about data analysts. So if you want to have one of your institutions join those programs, feel free to reach out to your Revolgy contact, and they'll help you set up those programs. So these are very, for me, key to the future of our students, because these are all about giving them access to skills and technologies that are the most in demand and the most important right now in the world of IT. 9 out of 10 startups launch with cloud computing, right? So it's very important for all your students and all your researchers to understand how cloud works, and those trainings are designed for that. So I'm done with the presentation. Any questions on the programs or on Revolgy?
Thanks, Felix. Not necessarily a specific question on programs or Revolgy, but on Tuesday we talked about EduGain authentication. Is that common across all of your resellers and all of your services, or is that specific to each individual reseller, that approach?
Yeah, so that's specific to each individual reseller.
Okay.
So Sparkle, having a history of having worked with the GEANT community, has done those work. So I'm not sure, Vlad, could you confirm if you have the integration with the EduGain authentication?
No, we don't have it. We don't have it, but definitely if there are any steps that we will need to do, we would like to be there.
Yeah, it's just that it's one of the key things, and obviously it also helps you guys because you know that people who are signing in are actually not only were active members of faculty, but they still are active members of the faculty, because once they leave, then their accounts get deleted. So you're not giving services to people who are no longer eligible for those services. So it could be an interesting thing to. I noticed within your presentation, Vlad, that it wasn't mentioned, so I wanted to kind of bring that up and just raise it as a question to see whether it was just a omission by accident or because you don't do it. That's okay. Thank you.
Can I just add for that? Have you been contacted by the GEANT operations team about linking into the GEANT sort of network? Might be a guy called Keith Slater.
Let me just double check.
I know Keith has reached out, but for some other countries than the one covered by Revolgy. So
yeah.
Yes, but it's not everywhere. So I'm not sure that he's reached out for one of those 3 countries.
Yeah, I think, Gary, that the physical connection which Keith would be dealing with is handled at the Google level. Vlad, what you need to do is to talk to your NREN in your country, your headquarter country, to discuss with them about the EduGain. You obviously have contacts there, and speak to those guys, and they will be able to make any assistance and any advice in that area as a way of smoothing that path through in terms of authenticating users and identifying users as valid members of institutions and stuff like that. So it can be quite valuable. But thank you very much. Sorry, I didn't mean to butt in.
No, but it's definitely a useful information, and we are going to take care of it together with my colleague Teresa Grill here, that is part of our marketing team and is also supporting with all these activities around the OCRE tender. So thank you for your input, Carl.
No problem.
Perfect. So if there's no more question, thank you for attending the webinar. So feel free to reach out to your team at Revolgy and Vlad for any questions you have, or myself directly for related questions.
Okay, thank you. Can I ask if you could send me, unless you're recording the session, could you possibly send me a link to access the recording?
Yes, of course. I'll make that available for
yeah, because I can then share it with colleagues on the OCRE contract management group. We have sort of contract managers allocated to each supplier, and yours is a guy called Branko. I'll make sure he gets a copy and is aware of it. And part of the process is we should be setting up sort of a regular meeting between the OCRE contract management group and yourselves, probably via Vlad. Probably a 6-monthly sort of chance to just chat and see how things are going. So I'll make sure Branko gets a copy of this and is aware, and we'll probably try and set a meeting up in the next month or so.
And on that similar note, Felix, I'm afraid that tomorrow's meeting with the cloud managers has been double booked, so we won't be able to do that tomorrow, but I will schedule you in as soon as it's physically possible. That was due to happen tomorrow. I'm afraid we can't do that. There's already an extra booking in there already, as you can imagine. With the launch recently, we're trying to squeeze as many people in as possible. So, and we're just trying to get everybody scheduled. But I will get that done as quickly as possible. And I also have a quick, like a telegram here at a wedding. Radovan and Jan from Cessnet apologise for not being able to make it. They were tied up in another meeting, so they'll be very interested in the video. So yeah, they send their apologies for not being able to attend.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
But we'll make sure the recording is shared and you can forward it to them.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
we can circulate the link. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you
Okay.
then, guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Cheers.
Thank
Have
you.
a good day. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.